All right, news has just broke that reveals officials in the Biden administration have been working directly with a highly anti-Israel organization. The America First Legal has just busted them. We'll be talking about the details right here, right now. I'm Joshua, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome back to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of anti-Israel propaganda and Jew hatred, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Guys, if you've not yet subscribed, do so now, as well as come on to this conference. We're doing a huge Israel summit, and we want you to be there. If you haven't already signed up to do that, come sign up at theisraelguys.com/summit. Sign up right now. Be a part of that. Israel is coming to you. You should be there if you're an American and want to get educated on what's going on in Israel. We're bringing some of the best. You should be there to be educated on what's actually going on. Remember back a few months ago, the Biden administration, Biden himself actually, declared a national emergency and then sanctioned a few Israelis. Well, what in the world was behind all that? How did that even happen? It seemed a little unreal. Think about it. Israel's at war after October 7th. They're fighting an enemy of Israel and an enemy of America. I mean, Hamas is on the terror list for America. They're fighting a known enemy. And then the Biden administration comes shortly afterwards and starts sanctioning Israelis. What kind of sense did that make? It didn't make any sense. And why was it happening? And we were all scratching our heads trying to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. Well, thanks to a group of lawyers at the America First Legal group, they've actually gone in and broke open a bit of what the problem was behind the scenes. And we'll dig into that right now. First off, why was this national emergency declared? And then what was the sanctions? Well, it was all being based on this group called DAWN, Democracy for the Arab World Now. These guys had basically infiltrated into the Biden administration. Say infiltrated, I assume everything is, I don't know what's not legal about going straight to the top of the Biden administration and informing them of what's going on. It just wasn't public knowledge, I guess, until this firm just opened it up that the Biden administration was working directly with this fringe anti-Israel hate group that is spewing all kind of evil things about Israel. So they were able to convince, this group DAWN was able to convince the Biden administration that a handful of Israelis needed to be sanctioned, and then they pushed them to sanction the IDF and this religious unit, the most moral army in the world, this unit specifically, the most moral men in the world, How do they doing this? So they're getting, and then Israel actually sanctioned the Israelis that they recommended they sanction, and then they went to sanction the IDF that they said to sanction, and that didn't work out. And then they're still pushing to cut military aid to Israel. So they're pushing for all these things that represent, as we'll get to the end of the show, you'll understand why, the Arab world. This is exactly what the Arabs want, not what America needs and not what Israel needs, but they're advocating the Biden administration to do things against American goals and Israeli goals as an ally of America. So what's going on here? They successfully got the State Department to sanction these Israelis. What did these Israelis do that warranted being sanctioned during a wartime note? While Israel's at war, America should be focusing fully on helping the ally defeat the common enemy, Hamas. Well, that's not really the case. There's some cooperation going, but mostly slowing down and trying to keep them from doing so, and then sanctioning Israelis on the side. What did the Israelis do? Well, I just happen to know some of these Israelis that were sanctioned, and you may think, well, what kind of criminal are you to know someone that the American administration sanctioned? Well, the guys that they sanctioned have no criminal record. I don't know if that's news to you. I think we've talked about it on here before. They have no criminal record whatsoever. I don't know all of them. I know one of them particularly. No criminal record. And why did he get sanctioned? Because this Dawn group was able to convince them that this person was evil and was actually a big problem because they can't establish a Palestinian state as long as these Jewish people are living in the areas of Judea and Samaria. What's their crime? Attacking Arabs? No, because that would be criminal, and they didn't do that. So what did they do? They actually are just living in an area that the Biden administration, along with the Arab world, wants to create into a Palestinian state. That's their crime. And that's what they're being sanctioned for. Even though they're not saying that that's what they're being sanctioned for, that's actually behind the scenes why they can create an idea that these guys are being sanctioned because they're attacking Arabs. But there would be a criminal record with that, and there's not. There's not any evidence that any of these people that they're talking about attacked Arabs. Matter of fact, the one I know for sure didn't attack Arabs. The Arabs that were next to where he lives actually fled on October 7th because they thought, well, there's war. We better get back to where we actually are from. The Arab squatters that had actually squatted next to him to try to push him out left because they wanted to get back to their villages where they felt more secure during October 7th war. They've not returned. So he's blamed with that. He didn't have anything to do with that. Hey guys, we'll be right back. But first, our great friends over at Israel 365 have produced the Israel Bible. It's a fantastic Bible. If you want to get to know Israel a little bit better, it's also Hebrew and English side by side with an incredible commentary down below. Guys, I couldn't recommend this more. The Israel Bible from Israel 365 is a wonderful addition to your study books. Guys, it'll just take your knowledge and love of Israel to a new level. Guys, go right now to down in the description below and click the link and get your very own Israel Bible from Israel 365. So, again, listening to these fringe anti-Israel groups and their idea of what's actually happening here in Israel can really be misleading, and it is misleading the current administration in America to make some pretty awful decisions concerning Israel. So, we've talked about that. We've talked about the IDF and how they tried to get that done, and now they're trying to cut military aid. All of this. And this group, what I want to say is how deeply connected they are in America. How are they getting these kind of decisions passed? How are they getting this kind of stuff straight to the Biden administration leadership? And what is the conversation? And this is what was busted. They're emailing with top Pentagon officials. That's just what they were doing. The group Dawn is emailing with top Pentagon officials on a just personal basis to decide what the policy will be from the Pentagon. And that's why you're getting this idiotic stuff coming out of the sanctioning people that have no criminal record and are no threat to America, making a national security threat over somebody that has zero. So there's no security threat. I'm sorry. That's idiotic. It's crazy. But it's all in a demonization process that's in cahoots with anti-Israel groups with the Pentagon. That's what's crazy, and that's what's being busted here. And I want to just point down to the reason why this is happening. The reason is because they do have a common ground. The reasoning behind it is a bunch of nonsense. It's not truth. It's making up things that are just not true. It's factually incorrect. But what is actually behind the scenes that the Biden administration agrees with these anti-Israel groups is that they desperately want a Palestinian state. And if they can get the Jewish people that live in Judea and Samaria, in this ancient Jewish homeland, the area of ancient Israel, if they can demonize them and try to make it look like they don't belong here, then that can help the end goal of creating a Palestinian state that currently is in the Biden administration's interest. And this is what we see in the background. Now, I want to move to Reed Rubenstein. He's the American First Legal. He has some incredible quotes. He's the one who busted this. He's the one who really did the research behind this, the American First Legal. And I want to dig into a few quotes that they put out concerning this. Of course, they know the most, and this is such just a fascinating, their take on this bust that's just happened. Here we go, the quote. The emails paint a disturbing picture about the Biden administration's coordination with outside groups that are highly critical of Israel. The State Department's partnership with and reliance on the Dawn organization, a virulently anti-Israel propaganda group that brags about sponsorship by Hamas. Muslim Brotherhood, front group called the Council on American Islamic Relations, is even more evident that the key Biden officials are infected with a fundamental and deeply perverse hatred for Israel and the Jewish people. The administration's rejected peace. He went on, instead, it has chosen to subvert Israel's democracy, subsidize Hamas, Fatah, and Iran, and fund a worldwide firestorm of anti-Semitism. These are pretty educated remarks on what's going on after this bust. To say these things, this is really a hardcore hit and a hardcore bust to understand what's actually happening at the highest levels of the American administration and how these anti-Israel things are happening that we're seeing and not understanding. Well, the backdrop is pretty severe. We've got Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, people that are in that level going straight to the Pentagon officials and having email correspondence that was all busted with this lawyers group. Now, what's even more interesting, well, before we get there, the unnamed Republican congressional official said this: these officials were coordinating with each other to launder anti-Israel talking points and policies from fringe NGOs into the administration. So when you hear all the anti-Israel rhetoric coming out of the current administration, you can know where they're coming from. They're coming from pro-Palestinian, pro-Arab, anti-American, anti-Israel groups that are putting the talking points forward, that are throwing these out there, and they're coordinated. These groups are intentionally doing this. So understand that. Now, another big hit is the founder. I just did this research myself. The founder of the organization Dawn, this relatively small group that the Biden administration has brought in as some sort of kind of advising on what they should do. Obviously, by now that's pretty horrendous what they're doing. Jamal Khashoggi, the founder, was an Arab. Not that that's bad, but he was a known Jew hater from Saudi Arabia. And he was pro-Muslim Brotherhood. And he's the guy that founded this deal, is continuing on. He's no longer around. There was a huge saga about that, about his how he was taken out. I had no idea about that whole story a few years ago. But the fact is, he's no friend of Israel. And this whole organization, Dawn, is targeted at demonizing the nation of Israel and helping to establish that demonization process into the Biden administration. Lingo, how you say it. Who are we going to sanction? Sanctioning people that they're the ones who gave the list of people to sanction. The Biden administration, they didn't come up with that list themselves. They got it from these guys, the Dawn organization. How corrupt is that? So corrupt. This Jamal guy tweeted back a while ago, the Jews have no history in Palestine, so they invented the Wailing Wall, which is a Mamluk building. After 1967, they noticed the Shrine of Joseph in Nablus, so they decided that it belonged to the prophet Joseph, so they seized it. You can't get more far-fetched than that. And I read this quote because it represents the organization Dawn very well, I believe. You have people that truth means nothing. They can say whatever they want, and it can fall on young people's ears that could believe it. This stuff is absolutely so far-fetched. The Mamluk building? No, it goes all the way back to the time of the Second Temple. This is not a Mamluk. It's absolutely far-fetched to say that the Jewish people have no history here. That's a absolutely no truth in this whatsoever. But that's the idea. You can say whatever you want and expect people that don't know heads or tails of the issue to accept your lie. And that's unfortunately what's happening in the Biden administration. Guys, that's the bust for today. Guys, as always, make sure and sign up and subscribe. Also, be sure and visit us at the summit in Nashville. Go to theisraelguys.com/summit. We do want to see you there. Get educated in the finest way on what is going on in Israel from a educated group of folks that represents Israel extremely well. Don't forget to get the conversation going down in the chat below as well. Guys, as always, tune out the fake news and tune into what's actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every Monday through Friday with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.